Ooh. Don't even get a Ric Flair this morning. Just get a. This is gonna be a wild one. We're gonna hit all the topics here this morning. Usually when a top podcast like this happens, it's usually because of marital differences. So we'll get into those without a doubt. And the last time that I talked about this, I remember specifically was on December 1st. The last time I had issues with my woman, because in talking about it on the podcast, it actually helped me out big time and smoothed things over really, really quickly. Anyway, welcome to the Off Base Podcast, the podcast that's carefully crafted to remind you to suck a fat one if you think you're the only one, because you're not. I know I'm not. I know that there are other people that are going to be in the same situations that I'm going to be talking about in just a little bit. But anyway, it's 44 degrees in the city of Aurora at 7:59 in the a.m. on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. I'm your host. I'm the Rocky Mountain no-name Jackass. So, there we go with the chaw and the spit. All the kids are dropped off. This podcast may be extended today. We'll see what ends up happening, because there's a lot to discuss. And like I said before, last time I had issues, I talked about them and was able to work through them, no problem. So let's start off this Martin Luther King Day weekend. You know, we get the 3-day weekend. So Saturday night, we went out to dinner. We went out to a Brazilian steakhouse, Fogo de Chao. And they were really busy. They were short-staffed, and I had a feeling my wife was going to freak out a little bit about the lack of service that we were receiving. But I didn't mind it at all, because I knew that at some point the servers were going to realize how long we were waiting for them to come on over and take our drink orders and blah, blah, blah. And then we would end up having a blast for the next 2 hours, which we did. And she was cool with that. My problems with her didn't come that night. I knew where her frustration was coming from. I knew that we didn't need to worry about it. But the weird thing about Saturday night at the Fogo de Chao was, we asked my stepson if he wanted to bring his girlfriend along. And he's like, yeah. So we picked her up, and she was an absolute delight. I mean, for, how old is she? She's either 15 or 14. I can't remember. But for her age, the way in which she was engaging my wife and I with different conversation questions, we were like, holy shit, like, this girl's phenomenal. I forget what we were talking about at one point. Like, I think I just ordered a bottle of wine for us to have with our Brazilian steakhouse meat, and was just saying something to my wife about the wine that I had selected or whatnot, and my stepson's girlfriend says something like, she turns and she says, well, what's your favorite kind of wine? And I was like, holy shit. And she actually sounded sincere, and she listened to my answer. She never had a phone out the whole time. I was like, this girl's phenomenal. And she had stuff like that throughout the whole meal, where she would either ask me something or ask my wife something. Now, of course, you know, we're adults, so we're trying to engage everybody at the table, and particularly her, to make sure she has a nice time, because we asked her to come with us. But here's the funny part about Saturday night's dinner. My stepson, I don't think he said a freaking word to her the whole fucking meal. It was weird. So the way we sat at the table, it was a circular table. So it was me, my son, my wife, my stepson's girlfriend, my stepson, and then my stepdaughter, and then me again. So we were in a circle. My stepson was like fucking around with his sister like the whole meal, and it was weird because it felt like those two were on a date instead of my stepson and his girlfriend. Like, my stepdaughter and him, they kept like looking at memes together. they're doing at one point they did some kind of weird tickle fight, and I was like, all right, can we stop playing grab ass? I said something to that effect, but it was weird, man. I don't think he looked at her one time. I don't think he said one thing to her one time. Like, and they've been boyfriend, girlfriend for, I don't know, maybe about 2-3 months now. I don't know, man. It was weird. At one point, she finally engaged him, but he still didn't turn to look at her. This was just weird. And so we got back home after we dropped her off, and my wife she was very tactful about it. She said something to the effect of, she said, do you even like her? And he was like, oh, geez. Well, now, I can't say no and I can't say yes. Now, that particular mentality is going to come back into play in a little bit, but we were like, what can you not say no and not say yes to? You either like her or you don't. If you don't like her, then tell her and let her find somebody else. But if you do, that was weird. So he ended up saying that he does like her, but it was so funny because, like, for the next 2 days of our 3-day weekend, he just, I don't know, he likes playing video games with his friends back in Texas. It's like, come on, man, you're here now. There are kids here now. You got an awesome school, and we tried to hint at him, be like, hey, man, get together with the fellas. I don't know, times are different. Times are definitely different. A lot of stuff just goes on online. We understand COVID is putting a damper on all kinds of social interactions, like, in-your-face social interactions. All right. So let's move on to the big issue at hand. You got a little 6 minutes of pre-story there. I don't know if any other parents are in the same position that we were in, but that was strange. Very strange. 2.5 hour meal. Didn't say anything to her, I don't think. All right. So that was Saturday night. So come Sunday morning, Sunday was just a complete chill day for us. My wife and I did yoga together, and then we just watched some movies. I did an Asian day where I tried to make sushi using our sushi bazooka. Didn't work out too well. And then I made a pork larb dish, if you guys have ever had larb before, and then also a pork and chicken fried rice, which was really good. But anyway, we hadn't done our yoga yet. It was early in the morning. It was like 9:30, 10. And we went to start a movie to watch with my son. He's the 8-year-old, because he was up first. The 2 older ones, they end up sleeping a little bit later on the weekends. So we were like, yeah, man, let's watch a movie. And then my wife and I were going to do yoga after that. So as soon as we started the movie, we're like 2 minutes into it. He said he was hungry. And then my wife said she was hungry. And then I was hungry. So we all got up. Oh, it was Jungle Cruise, by the way, with The Rock and Emily Blunt. They were both very good in it. And I actually really liked the story. The script was good. It was a good movie. There were a couple things that they didn't explain as far as the supernatural stuff goes. But overall, it was fun. It was good. I recommend it. Especially to watch with kids. You got to take your hats off to The Rock, man, and how his popularity with movies like that, PG/action movies, have just exploded. So hats off to him. He's no dummy, man. What a great career he's had. Anyway, so we stopped watching the movie to make food. And my wife was making something in the microwave, and I'm making these breakfast tacos, these little breakfast mini street tacos. I've got chicken that I just grilled, that I'm grilling. This is important. Chicken that I'm grilling. I reheated some black beans that we had from the fridge, and and I also had some eggs on it as well, some scrambled eggs. And I had diced up green onions on our cutting board, and I diced up some tomatoes on our cutting board, and I put them up at the top because I knew, looking at the piece of chicken that I was frying on the griddle, that it wasn't cooking in the middle. So I had to take the chicken off the grill once it was cooked on both sides, slice it down the middle, and then open it up, butterfly it open up, and put it back on the griddle so that it would cook the insides. And then I was going to turn around and clean up, anything that had just happened. And then I was doing this on the bottom left of the cutting board. So after I had done that and I turned around to put the chicken back on and to check to make sure that everything was still, cooking correctly, my wife comes up behind me and slices a tomato on the bottom right of the cutting board. And when I turned around to go clean everything up, I saw that she had done that. And I said, oh shit. I wish I would have known that you were going to slice that tomato. I would have wiped off the knife, because the knife is what touched the raw part of the chicken. And, she got like a little disappointed, deflated look on her face. I said, no, it's okay. You can just, slice another tomato. I would have sliced the four, but I was still, working with putting my breakfast together. And I think slicing the tomato was the only thing that she had to do, because she was just making eggs in the microwave. So she went, cleaned up her tomato, threw it out, and then with my green onions sliced on the cutting board and my tomatoes sliced on the cutting board, on the upper part of the cutting board, and I think I had the beans off to the left, she comes over with a paper towel and a bottle of bleach, and I was cutting something else. It might have been a jalapeno or something. She comes right next to the cutting board, sprays her paper towel with the bleach. I can feel it getting on my hands. Now, this is where, if I was gay and I was married to another dude, this would be an easy conversation. The conversation would be, dude, you just fucking sprayed bleach on me, right? Because that's how guys talk. Now, I don't know if that's how I would talk if I was married to another gay man. I don't know. But let's just say if it was another dude, if it was a roommate, if it was another guy, or if it was my son or stepson, when they're, I don't know, over 18. I would say, dude, you just fucking sprayed bleach on me, and it probably got on my food. But I can't say that with my wife, because if I say something like that, say it in that way, what ends up happening is something to the effect of her getting mad at me at how I said it. So now, to deflect the fact that she did something stupid, and it was stupid. She could have just taken her paper towel and sprayed it over the sink. Or she could have actually said to me, well, where is the raw chicken stuff? And I would have said to her, it's not on the cutting board at all. It's on the blade. And that's what I said when I turned around. I was like, I would have wiped the blade off for you because it had raw chicken on it. So it was just a stupid move. So instead, she does it right near the cutting board and gets bleach all over everything. Well, not all over everything, but it was definitely all over my arm because I felt it. And guaranteed some of it splashed onto the cutting board, onto my food. So if I would have came at her in that way, like I said, she would have gotten mad at how I said it, and then it would have been a matter of I would have had to apologize because I wouldn't have gotten any sex, right? That's how it works. And this is very interesting because this is where it's going to come up later. But I didn't say it in that way. I said something to the effect of very calmly, because women, when they want us to show emotion, the last one they want to see is us getting angry. I'm sorry, but that's an emotion. And again, I'm saying all this stuff because sometimes using the podcast to help me work through this stuff ends up being healthy, because I'll say stuff on the podcast that I wouldn't directly say to her face, because we communicate differently. We have to find the right way in which to say things to each other. But what I wanted to say was, the fuck, man, you just sprayed bleach all over me and my food. Now, what I did end up saying was in a very calm, measured voice, was something to the effect of, with an annoyed tone, but, suppressed annoyed tone, because God forbid my wife does anything annoying. Anyway, I said, you just sprayed bleach on my arm. And, with a slightly suppressed, annoyed tone, because it was annoying. And she said something to she said some half-hearted apology. I could tell she wasn't sorry, but she said sorry. And that's how it kind of went there for the rest of the making of the breakfast. And then all of a sudden we just had this weird energy where if she would have just recognized, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And then as we were sitting down to eat our stuff, I explained to her again. I said it was only the knife that had touched the raw chicken. It wasn't the cutting board at all. She was like, "Oh, how come you didn't say that?" I said, "I did say that." I said, "If you hadn't started cutting your tomato, I was going to turn around and wipe off the blade." So we kind of got over that. Kind of didn't. It was more of gotten over it, because later on, while we were watching the movie, I was after we had finished eating, I was laying next to her. She was laying next to me, and she put her feet up on me, which I don't mind at all, right? And I started playing just a little bit like I was going to tickle her feet. She goes, "Don't you tickle my feet." And I said, "Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to..." And I think I said something like, "What are you going to put me in a figure four?" And she goes, "No, I just want to have sex with you." And we laughed, okay? It was funny. It was very funny. And she was, half kidding, but half telling the truth. And I really appreciated that kind of honesty. It was like the first time in 13 years of being married to her, but maybe the first time ever that I had heard a woman say either directly to me or in periphery that she wouldn't have sex with her husband because she was mad at him. Okay? But that's the unwritten rule. When they're mad at us, they won't have sex with us. Now I laughed it off, right? And in my head I had a great comeback, and I said, "Well, if I'm mad at you, I'm probably not going to want to have sex with you anyway." But anyway, that was kind of funny. All right, so fast forward to yesterday, Monday. We got the day off. It's Martin Luther King Day, okay? She planned to take the kids to the Denver Aquarium. And we had gone to aquariums like this before when we were living in Texas. And, the aquariums can be fun. I don't know how fun it was for the older kids, but, my son is still 8. And he had a blast going looking through it. And I had a blast going and looking through it at all the different sea life that they had on display. But before we did that, we went to lunch at the aquarium restaurant, where they have the giant aquarium and all the big fish swimming around. So we're sitting there, we're having a nice time. I'm just a little bit tired. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say about that. I was just a little bit tired. And we ended up getting our food. Food comes to the table. We're eating. My stepdaughter and I were having some kind of conversation. So we're in a half circle, just to give you an idea of how the seating's going. We're in a half circle. I'm at one end, and then it's my wife, my son, my stepson, and my stepdaughter. She's opposite. So I can see her face. And at one point, she had food on her face. So I took my napkin out of my lap, and I said, "Hey, go like this." And I lifted my napkin up, and she lifted her napkin up, and I said, "All right, go like this." And I wiped the side of my face. That's the mirror image to her. So right now I'm wiping the left side of my face, but it was the right side of her face. And then as she did that, she had gotten off whatever she had gotten off, and I was like, "Oh, you got it." And she was like, "Oh, I had food on my face?" I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, cool." But then my wife chimes in and says something like, "Why did you say it like that?" And I'm like, what are you talking about?" She goes, "Why don't you just tell her she has food on her face?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." And we got this tiny little back and forth, but it was just really weird. And she's been doing this to me for I don't know how long. And I was just getting annoyed. Like I said, I was a little bit tired. I got annoyed with the conversation. I did not want to be having that anymore. And even one of the kids said something to the effect of, "Oh my God, you're arguing about how he's telling her how to clean food off of her face?" And as soon as one of the kids said that, I said, "Yeah, she's been doing that to me for years." And I just kind of had enough of the conversation. I didn't want to say anything else about it, so I just turned and was looking at the fish and kept eating my lunch. And then she said right after that, after I had checked out, she said, "Well, it just sounds like you're ordering her." And it was at that point where I finally fucking realized what her problem is. I'll back up and I'll tell you. I hate it when people don't tell me if I have food on my face or a booger in my nose, whatever. Because you're sitting there, you're talking to the person, and that's all you look at, right? So why not tell them, "Hey, you got something on your face"? Now, when I've done it before, like if somebody has something on the right side of their face, I might do something in the past, way in the past, I might have said something like, hey, you got something right here. And now I'm doing it on the right side of my face because that's where, the thing is. And the person would always go on the mirror image side. They would start cleaning their left side. Be like, okay, I got to get it off. And I say, no, it's on the other side. And then people would always say, oh, well, why didn't you just say the other side? I would say, well, because I showed you the correct side that it was on. You're just, looking in a mirror. So in order to avoid all that, and hang on, I'm going to get scanned here. I got to continue this. Got to finish this because we're getting to the meat of it. Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Not too shabby.
Fantastic. Have a great day.
Thank you. So over the years, I've just gotten in the habit, instead of going through that whole rigmarole, I just tell the person, sometimes I might even just, if I'm close enough to them, I might just say, all right, hold still, and I'll take a napkin and I'll wipe off whatever they have on their face. But if they're far away from me, I'll tell them, hey, go like this, just to get it off, just to finish it off, get it off their face so that we keep talking. And then if they say, oh, I had something on my face, I'll be like, yeah, you had something right there. And sometimes I'll even say to them, hey, you have something right here. Or I'll do what I just did, which is, hey, go like this to clean it off. I mean absolutely nothing by it. All I want the person to do, I'm trying to help them so that I do not have to keep staring at the food on their face. And I have heard people say to my wife in the past, hey, you got something on your face. Or hey, you got something in your teeth. Something like that. Because she always gets broccoli stuck in her teeth whenever she eats broccoli. And she has no problem with those people telling her. But she has a problem with me telling her. In particular, telling it to her in the way that I do. Which is, hey, go like this. Or, hey, get yourself a napkin, go like this. I might even say, hey, get a napkin, you got something here. But she doesn't like that. Now we found out yesterday it's because it sounds like I'm ordering somebody to do it. And it's like, that's when it hit me. But I had already checked out of the conversation. I'm like, well, then that's not my problem. If you think it sounds like I'm ordering them, that's your problem. And what difference does it make if it sounds like I'm ordering them to do it? You don't have to do it. Like if I say, hey, go like this, and you say, why? I say, because you got some food on your face. What would you say? No, I'm not going to clean it off because it sounds like you're ordering me. I'd be like, well, fine, let's leave it there. I'll look at that the whole time I'm talking to you. This is one of those instances where, I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of times I'm able to reverse the situation, try to see it from her perspective. And be like, oh, okay, yeah, I could have said it differently. Or, oh, that was a stupid thing to say. Or, oh, yeah, maybe I could have done it different. But it wasn't like, I don't know, man. This one, I feel like I'm right. I feel like I'm right. And I also feel like it was none of her business. I feel like she could have butted out. I don't know, am I the only one? Or am I just the no-name jackass again? I don't know, man. This time I don't think I'm the jackass. But it's funny how these little things can color, how you react to people throughout the day. So I don't know. We got a little bit of a weird energy. This whole weekend has just been weird energy between boys and girls. It's been very strange. I don't know. So that's my male, female, husband, wife rant for today. And I got to try to figure out a way through this. What I would love to have happen is for my wife to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I was out of line. I shouldn't have said that. Or for her to, like even better, like the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the milkshake would be for her to say, you know what? I have been doing that to you for years. I'm sorry. I know you're just trying to help. And that's that. But knowing her, even if she would go that regard, she might say something, hey, I know you're trying to help, but could you not make it sound like you're ordering me to do it? Fine. What are you gonna do? You gonna put me in a figure four? No, I just won't have sex with you. All right. Okay. I want to thank you guys for listening to that. I think that's going to help me in the first stage of amending this little tiff. And if my wife, if you're watching this, I love you. You're the love of my life. But I think I'm right on this one. All right, everybody. Smell you tomorrow.